does your product or service suck? I mean, is it bad? Like you're not going to say, you're going to say, hey, it's pretty good. We've got a good client base. We've got a stable client base. If you have a stable client base, then it may be that your product isn't very good, because a stable client base means that people aren't attracted to it. You're not losing anybody, but you're not gaining anyone. That is a kind of indicator that you don't have a good product. Why would people stay with you if you don't have a good product? Well, let's look at it. Maybe it's just convenient. If you're a gym and it's convenient to go there, hey, I'm going to go with you. Maybe they don't want to spend the time to learn or find out something else. Adobe has had that for many years. There have been other alternatives, but people didn't want to leave them. Another thing is maybe you have enough features that you're satisfying that status quo. Or maybe it's just the cheapest option, the fastest option. There are lots of little indicators that this is what people are choosing and why they're choosing you. But it doesn't mean that you have a good product. To have a good product means that you need to spend time and effort really solidifying what kind of product that is and making sure people are falling in love or at least dedicated to your product. Let's take Adobe as a bigger example. Even before their recent fiasco of saying, hey, we're going to steal your data and use it for our licensing and our generative AI. And if you want to look into that, maybe they didn't, but let's just say that that's what they were saying with their open license agreement. Even before this recent fiasco of saying we're going to use your content for our generative AI, and yes, there are some legalese terms, but if you look into it, they still had that in their possibilities. And to use previous photos that people had taken for their generative AI is, yes, it's stealing, but even before all of this, they were locking people into a subscription service without giving them the option of leaving, basically making them a prisoner within the Adobe suite. That kind of behavior says, hey, my product probably sucks. Because if people cannot leave and then you don't let them leave, but they want to leave, that's saying, hey, maybe this isn't a good product. If you have people who leave, but then they come back because they know that it's good, or they leave and can come back and it's not this kind of locked in service, that's saying that, hey, you've got a really good product. Do you have a product so bad that people are making complaints? If you have that kind of product, then you really need to go back to the drawing board. Look at some modern TV shows that have come out and the way they have been review bombed, positive review bombs, to try to counteract the negative impact that those TV shows had, that the directors and actors are saying things like, well, it isn't our fault, or it's the viewers and they're the problem. That kind of excuse making says, hey, this is really a bad product. If you have those kind of things, then you need to get out of your ego and take a look at what reality is. Most people aren't going to complain about your product in a very visible way, like going onto Trustpilot and complaining about your service or product. They're going to do it in a discreet, just to tell their friends. And when you get a bad review, that means that it's going to be much bigger than all the trickle down that's had before then. What you want to do is see if you're not gaining and not losing clients. If you have the same clientele that you've always had and there's no real changes, then you've got a loyal base, but you don't have a growing loyal base. And that says that you probably don't have a good product. If you have a growing base, that's good. When you're getting leads need to come in from new prospects who see, this is a great product that I can use. I'll be straight with you. When I started my consulting, I didn't have a good product. People would come to me and then they would leave, come and leave, because I wasn't serving them in the needs that they had. And then when I asked and tried to get feedback, it wasn't a negative that I was getting. It was just kind of a lukewarm response. I don't have time for that right now. I've got other priorities. The money needs to be focused on this rather than that. There wasn't a necessary, like, this is bad, this is what you're doing. But when I looked at it and I saw, hey, I'm not growing in clients or lowering in clients, I'm just staying where I am, I don't have a good product. I need to go back and find out what's missing and then present that. And that's what I've done. This kind of step where you're able to look at yourself and say, oh my gosh, I guess I don't have a good product. I guess what I'm serving isn't what people need. Or I guess what I'm serving isn't what people want. I guess what I'm serving isn't actually what they're really telling me. Because your customers aren't going to tell you the truth. They're not going to tell you you have a bad product. You need to do this. Maybe 1 out of 50 will tell you that, but most of them won't. Most of them will just leave it, go somewhere else because of two things. First, that they don't want to offend you. They don't need to get into that hassle. And the main reason is they themselves don't know until they see something that's better. If you have these kinds of problems with your product, with your services that you're offering, then it's very possible that you don't have a good product and you need to go back, iterate again and again until you get that highly successful product that really helps your customers and helps your business.